Hey, welcome back to the State of Love and Trust. It's episode 284, and this week we are celebrating this record, Riot Act, as it turns 23 years young. We've got two amazing segments talking all about that bad boy, including what we are grateful for about it while it is Thanksgiving season. So let's get into the mood with Riot Act next on the State of Love and Trust.
Hey, I'm Mike McCready from Pearl Jam.
Hey kids, this is Mark Arm from Mudhoney.
I'm Kevin Martin from Candlebox.
Hi, I'm Dave Cruzen.
I'm Tim Montana.
Hey, I'm James Joseph from James and the Cold Gun.
I am Matt Vaughn from Easy Street Records.
This is Richard Stuverud. And this is the State of Love and Trust.
The State of Love and Trust.
The State of Love and Trust.
Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. Feed the algorithm.
Welcome, everybody, to an episode of the State of Love and Trust. It's a Pearl Jam podcast, and I'm one of your two hosts, Jason Kerepesi. And alongside me, as always, is
Paul Ghiglieri.
We got a drum, an air drum, and a pen of power, cymbal crash.
Cymbal crash. And when it's time to play, we're going to use this bad boy right here.
Put it in front of your face. Put it in front of your face. No, like all the way to the camera, so it focuses on it. There you go. That's how the camera focuses. When it hides it auto detects your face. I'm guessing through sorcery, or maybe it's AI. I don't really know. There you
Sorcery.
go. I did it too.
It's your Movember magic.
You know, I started. This isn't Movember per se, but it could be. For those of you watching, it's sort of a Movember thing. It started out as my Halloween costume, which was Jesus Quintana, I think is his last name, from The Big Lebowski. The Jesus. Yeah. I had the full, purple jumpsuit and the do-rag, and I had a goatee.
What is it? 9-year-olds, dude? What is it? I forget what the line was. It's terrible.
There's a lot of lines I can't say. No, but I'm going to fuck you up, man. Earmuffs, kids, if you're listening.
Earmuffs.
I think I missed my cue there. No, but yeah, so then I realized that I look really stupid with a goatee, so I got rid of that part and left the mustache for funsies. And thankfully, the rest of it's starting to grow out, so it doesn't look like stupid, because, it doesn't look great. But
well, we don't want the rest of your face to riot.
Here in Act 1...
That segue had so much promise.
I want to hit my mic so bad like Conan, but I'm not going to.
No.
Not going to. If you're watching this, whatever the hell this is, on YouTube, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for notifications. And if listening only, Paul.
You're going to rate, you're going to review, and you're going to hopefully subscribe on your preferred podcast platform of choice. Feed that algorithm. It is the time of year to till that algorithmic harvest.
Well, it's we're nearly to Thanksgiving. We're like a week and a half out from Thanksgiving. So yeah, you better be harvesting real soon, otherwise.
Yeah, I should have said till the algorithmic soil to produce a State of Love and Trust harvest. I suppose. I got to get my analogies straight.
At this point, it's a really long walk.
Yeah, my metaphors are awry. Anyway,
yes. Ooh, awry. Is that autumn adjacent? I don't know. What's happening right now? I don't know. I'm just so excited about the episode that I forgot what we're talking about. There are a bunch of links down below. Many of you already know this, that if you're listening or you're watching, we have links in the description of the pod. And one of them is for our fundraiser, a monthly fundraiser. This month, great. I don't want to call it a charity, but it's a hospital. It's the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. They're great. They do great stuff. So trying to knock out cancer for kids. So send them your money if you can. And you know that if you send in $5 or more, we're going to give you the stickers. We're going to give you the old button pins.
You might get two,
Hope. Hey, hope. And then, of course, the pick. There it is. Beep, boop. And if you send in the most money to that wonderful cause, by the end of the month, Selena Fragassi will send you a copy of her book, which is this guy right here. I've got props. The Pearl Jam Live book, written by her. She's a fan. She's a journalist. It's an account. It's the fan experience. It's a lovely book. So This is yours, signed by her, if you send the most money to St. Jude's. And by the way, we got the Patreon, we got the Pod Shop to help support this show. A random patron, Paul, will get a copy of, hey, look at that, it's Riot Act on vinyl. Not this one, this one's mine, you can't have it. But Erica, one of our patrons, has donated a copy freshly sealed with the 180-gram vinyl, and that could be yours.
It's a beaut. Let's talk about this album. Huh?
Let's talk about it. That's that. As you know by the banner above and by the title of the episode, we're talking Riot Act. This is kind of a twofer. One half of the show, Paul, is something we've done a handful of times before. I haven't actually done it in a while. And the other thing is kind of a play on what we've done the last 4 years around Thanksgiving time, which is talking about what we're grateful for. You suggested, why not we kind of take that ethos and apply it to the record in question?
Yeah.
What are we grateful for with Riot Act? So we'll get to that at the end.
I love that we're starting with this album because in terms of how it's received, you know, as an album within the catalog, obviously it's not the most well received on a macro level. You know what I mean?
Right.
Amongst the fan base. That doesn't mean it doesn't have its ardent fans and its hardcore defenders. Don't get me wrong. And I think we're going to really unpack a lot of really cool things with this record tonight. But this concept of gratitude obviously is important in the month of November, at least in the United States. And so, in honor of Thanksgiving, why not show why we are thankful for Riot Act? And I think you'll be surprised by our reasons.
Oh, are you teasing? Are you alluding to, what do you got there, by the way? What is that drink?
There's some bourbon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just do
I haven't seen you with a cocktail in a minute.
Yeah, I know. It's been a minute.
Okay. Fun fact, guys, we record at 6 a.m. So why, Paul? I am kidding. Oh boy, am I kidding.
I don't believe you.
What is that from again? I don't believe
Anchorman.
He's like, you're on, Ron. We are? I don't believe you. Lanolin, like sheep's wool? Anyways, we could go on for hours. But the first thing is the write your own song. The write your own, although it's evolved in some ways. It was like song, verse, chorus, middle eight,
right,
verse, chorus. And it evolved because of you, Paul. And you had this great idea that you didn't tell me about. You just dropped the bomb on me with this great idea of, basically, it's a poem of sorts.
Yeah, well, you did the song, which I thought was cool, but I just said, no, I'm going off the beaten path. I'm going more of like a prose poem approach. And I think I've done that every time we've done this exercise. And I believe the last time we did it, you did something similar.
Yes, and I am going to do something similar again today.
Cool.
I was looking at, I try to do as many songs from the album as possible to drop in something from each to really get as cohesive and all-encompassing, if I may,
Love it.
journey of the record, and then kind of rearrange things to fit my own need, my own narrative, my own theme, if you will, which is usually some sort of either alternate angle or distillation of what the grand themes are of that record. So Riot Act, 23 years young now, last week turned 23 on November 12th. And as you said, this is an interesting record because I think for many people it did not hit. For some people it has not hit. For some people it actually did hit right away and only got better for them. I know plenty of folks right now listening or watching who are patrons are like, I see you. I hear you. See you in the Discord. Yeah. Anyway, I think for a lot of people though, it didn't do what they wanted it to do necessarily, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have great value, at least to me today, and we'll get to more of that later on.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to get your take on this first, some opening thoughts, and then you can kind of just dive into your lyrics / poem.
Well, the record's always been a bit of an outlier in the catalog,
yes,
for a variety of reasons. It comes on the heels of a decade of fame, and there's a lot of just general social upheaval around this time. The band had experienced everything from watching their country go to war to, battles with Ticketmaster and changing drummers and obviously disillusion of marriage. I mean, there's just so many things that were going on in the lives of the band at the time and in the country, and just dealing with addiction, exactly, addiction. And Roskilde, we've talked about that as well. And so I think that there's a subdued nature to this record. You know what I mean? There is kind of like a raw sound to it. It's very fractured in a lot of ways, which I think, in some respects, upon reflection, I think that's a complimentary feature, but it's extremely and deeply introspective, more so than a lot of previous albums or I should say albums that preceded it, as opposed to previous albums from current times. So, all that being said, I think that there's a lot of broad connections that could be made at the time, and there's a lot of reasons why, in hindsight, we can reflect fondly upon the record and say, hey, you know what? If you told me Riot Act didn't exist, I would be sad. And let me tell you what it is about that record that I'm grateful for, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. All right. So you want to hit me with your song/poem first, or do you want me to begin? Why don't you lead it off this time? I can't remember if you. I think the last time. I don't know. But I'm scared because you're scared. As good as I try to make these, when it comes to these kind of exercises, I feel like I have to reach for the Paul level and pull myself up, and then I'm looking over the table. I'm like, hi, and then I can't hold on for very long. Well, this one I thought was just, gave you more than a fighting chance. I mean, it's like I said, it's such an introspective record. There's just a ton of lyrics on here that basically write this for you. You're just kind of you just pluck out the ones that resonate and then just kind of rearrange them like a puzzle, and there you go. That's what I did. Now let's hear it. Let's do it. Pull up the old notes. Here we go. Is this just another day, this God-forgotten place? First comes love, and then comes pain. Let the games begin. No white or black, just gray. Can you feel this world with your heart and not your brain? I still try to run on towards all or none. I was the fool because I thought the world. Turns out the world thought me. Sometimes I burn like a dot on the sun. And the young, they can lose hope because they can't see beyond today. The wisdom that the old can't give away. It's an art to live with pain, mix the light into gray. You helped me when I was down, I'll help when you're down. The mind is gray like the city, packing in and overgrown. Love is deep, dig it out. And the meanings that get left behind, all the innocence lost in one time, we're all different behind the eyes, there's no need to hide. I've lived all those lives, it's been wonderful at night. I will live forever, you can't keep me here. No matter how cold the winter, there's a springtime ahead. Won't someone save the world? There you go. Wow, man. Of all the ones you've done, this was the one that I thought hit me the most. I love how you open that with that question. I thought that was really, really kind of sets like a salient tone in the sense I ended it with a question too. I know. It's a great bookend there. You know what I mean? I think it's just a great way to kind of frame this, opening up with that question right there. Is this just another day, this God-forsaken place? God-forgotten or forsaken? So, yeah, love it. Well done. Oh, yes. I salute you. Thank you. I'll salute myself. I think I missed 3 songs out of the 15. Is it 15 songs, right? Well, I mean, I heard Love Boat Captain, Can't Keep. I heard Crop Duster. Mm-hmm. I heard I Am Mine, You Are. My Way. Did you get right in there? No. Okay. So that was one I didn't hear. Get Right, Help, and one other did not make the cut. I mean, obviously Ark couldn't make it, but right. All or None's in there. Did you have Bush Leaguer? I think I did. Did you? Okay. Maybe I removed it. I don't remember. Okay. I don't remember. Maybe not. I think at the beginning I had all songs, and I started deleting a couple of lines here and there to make things kind of work better. But there you go. Now I'm curious as to what yours is. So this is going to be kind of laced with a tone of disillusionment, but conversely endurance, which I think thematically is congruent with what you did. That's going to resonate. Interestingly, though, the 2 songs that I omitted from this exercise were Bush Leaguer and Half Full. So you're not going to hear lyrics from either one of those two. I have two versions, one where I actually have the lyric and then the song so I could keep track, and then one where I got rid of all that and it's just the poem.
All right, give
itself.
it to me. Give it to me straight.
There we go. Giving it to you straight. I don't open with a question, which I think is I'm glad I don't, because it's going to offer kind of a different take on this. All right, here we go. I want to shake. I want to wind out, leave this mind and shout. A wave came crashing like a fist to the jaw. Deliver me from my sorrow. Is this just another day, this God-forgotten place? First comes love, then comes pain. Lost 9 friends we'll never know. 2 years ago today. I'm so high I can't touch the ground. The fire is made now, hot to the touch, and I wanted to get right with it, with you. Too important to me, too important to us. We'd be lost without you. I'm like an ocean in disguise, half full, balancing the world on its knee. Can you hear me? The wrong words make you listen, but this hunger won't subside. I am mine, the selfish kind of peace. See them half full of grace or half full of shit. It's all or none, but I still try to run on. Looking for answers, the bad feelings, it's just me. All my happiness is gone, still find myself believing. Pick up your soul. Help, help, I've gone too far. The underbelly inside of me is reaching for the sun. If hope can float, let it drift. A paper boat on green disease. The air tastes thinner every year, but I will not lose my way. Even in the ruins, the music will remain, and I'll be thumbing my way back to home. All or none, all or none.
Jesus. You know what you do that's so interesting, and I think, is that you chop up these lines more than I do. Like you'll take the first half of a line and marry it to something else from a different song, and it's almost like it's almost hard to recognize what parts are from what song. So I'm like, I don't recognize those two words together, you know?
Right. So like, I mean,
it's a blender. It's more of a blender than mine is, which I find fascinating.
True. Yeah, that is true. And I think that's kind of the attraction to it. Actually, I have to correct myself. I did have half full in there, to going back to it now. Half full, balance in the world.
I thought I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. I also had see them half full of grace or half full of shit. I had a few lines from that song. Green Disease, though, I really just referenced the title. If hope can float, let it drift. The paper boat on green disease. So that one was
the paper different. Boat. What's that from?
The paper boat. If hope can float, let it drift. So that line there was more like kind of just pulled from like just the themes of the song.
Oh, it wasn't an actual lyric.
No, that initially I just had green disease. And then I added that piece in there at the end.
You added a Ghiglieri.
I did.
Son of a basketball. Now we're really breaking the rules. Because I was like,
we can take that one out though and just leave it with
No, it's okay. I like it. I was trying to place it, and I was like, I don't remember that line. I like that line.
But if I start moving the goalposts, though,
you do. You've been moving.
It changes the complexion here.
This exercise has been like putting a frog in a pot of water and turning the gas on, and the frog doesn't realize that it's being boiled alive. You still keep pushing the guardrails out. That was cool, man. That was really cool. It was more. It felt more narrative to me. Like I could see the character more than I usually can in yours.
Yeah. I think sometimes when I'm putting it together, I'm imagining what the delivery will sound like. And sometimes that shapes kind of the order that the lines go in. But it's always a fun exercise. I think it's the most important piece of this, I think, is when I heard, like, let's say I'd never listened to Riot Act and I just heard the poem that you shared with me. There's a profound quality to it. There's such deep introspection that I would feel compelled to want to listen to the music of this record.
Absolutely.
To see where all those lyrics are anchored and to see how it hits me. So I think it's a really great way to kind of like detach yourself from the record and silo yourself with the lyrics for an extended period of time and kind of let those things kind of, I guess, organically grow into a new form of art with its own ambitions. And then you come back to the record with that informed experience, and it completely reshapes how you listen to it and how you receive it. So I encourage everyone to try an exercise like this. Just play around with the lyrics and just throw some stuff on there and just kind of look at it and then go listen to the record and see if it lands differently with you.
You know what it is? It's kind of like one of those lyrical jigsaw puzzles where you have to slide the pieces around to fit, you know? Mm-hmm. Remember those? It's like one of those. It's like one of those, but it's also a trailer for what the album is about.
Yeah.
And I think it's I think you're right. If somebody didn't know much about a record and you said, read this, this is kind of what one person's summary or feelings about the record are based on the actual words written by the band members.
Yeah.
I would find that if you just gave me some other random band, like say it was, you know, I don't know, pick a band. Pick a band.
A big band?
Anybody.
Led Zeppelin.
Okay. Let's say you didn't know anything about Led Zeppelin. I said to you, I want you to learn about Led Zeppelin 3. I think it's amazing. Here's a little poem I wrote based on the actual lyrics. Does this tempt you? Does this make you want to listen to where this all came from?
Exactly.
I think that's a brilliant way to think about it.
That's the value in the exercise for me. So
yeah, absolutely. I want to know what everybody out there thinks about both of our poems, songs, whatever you want to call it. And then if you've got the time, please go ahead and write yours down. There are no rules, essentially. There's just pick lyrics, pick lines out of the songs. It could be 4 of the songs. It could be all of the songs. And just put them together in a way that you think befits the album's themes and your perception of those themes. I think it would be fun.
We would be grateful.
Look at you with the segues again. Whenever you do the segue thing, I always want to do the actual segue, like, you know, the people can't see this if they're listening only, but I'm doing the remember those things, the segues? I always think of Job in Arrested Development getting stuck in the sand at the beach. But anyway, yeah, we've always talked about what we're grateful for the last few years, and it. I mean, there's usually, you know, our audience, our listeners, which is, you know, implied. Thank you, of course. And then there's usually something sort of specific about maybe a conversation we had with somebody throughout the year or whatever. Maybe Pearl Jam did something really cool and we thought that hit us in a certain way. But this year, you're like, you know, let's flip it on its head. I want to apply that gratitude toward the record itself. So I think we should go back and forth on these choices. I went first just now, okay. So maybe you should go first with your first bullet point of gratitude for Riot Act.
Sure. We're doing 3 each?
3 each.
3 each. So I think the first one is the one that probably stands out the most and sticks out the most to everybody watching and listening, which is just that emotional vulnerability that the band was willing to demonstrate post Roskilde. You know, you're dealing with this tragedy, and this is the first studio album that comes out after that 2000 tragedy. So you have 9 fans that are killed during the band's set, and obviously, I mean, this is going to completely change the complexion of how you see yourself and every. I would be remiss if I didn't say it would not be unfathomable, nor would any fan like struggle to understand if the band had said, "Look, this was so traumatizing, we can't play live again." Like, that's all we see when we play live again. It's, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Obviously, they did not do that, but I mean, it would be a perfectly reasonable reaction to see something like that unfold and to know that it was happening while you were playing your set, and then say, I don't know if I can ever separate playing live with that tragic event again. Fortunately for the band and for everyone who listens to them and attends these concerts, that was not the outcome. But there's a lot of grief and guilt that comes, you know, a reckoning that comes with being a survivor of an experience like that. You know, Love Boat Captain, obviously. It's got the line, "Lost 9 friends will never know." That, I think, was the first time that the band like publicly acknowledged that pain. And there was an expression of that. And then I think, you know, Ark goes without saying, its place in the catalog and what that represents in relation to that moment. So in a lot of ways, there are tentpole moments on this record that kind of serve as like a memorial for those fans. And like I said before, it's just a reflection of that emotional vulnerability that the band was willing to share with the world. Oftentimes things that are either veiled or kind of subdued or channeled through anger. And this time it was just naked emotional honesty. And that wasn't something that I recall seeing from the band on such a transparent level as we saw in Riot Act. And it really showed that they could look trauma in the face, and that they could do it with a modicum of grace, as opposed to just denying it or trying to move forward or ignore it or neglect it. I mean, they really took it head on in a way that I thought was admirable. And I think it stands the test of time. And it's hard to think back to this record without thinking back to that, for me anyway. Right. So I guess in that way, I anchored kind of what I remember most about that record. And I thought to myself, I'm actually grateful, really, that the band was able to handle that situation through this record the way that they did.
Yeah, I totally get that. And I think that kind of is a cousin to my first choice here, which is I am thankful that the band showed me a different way to feel about something that makes me angry. You know, I have talked about how, as the band, Eddie, specifically, their approach to songwriting, topics both macro and micro, has evolved and matured, and so do we, right? And while Ed and the guys have obviously always been older and wiser than me, there are some songs and themes that come across more broadly than others, right? Whereas I think others needed more time for me to understand and appreciate the angle at which the topic was being approached. Riot Act is one of those records where, you know, I thought about, you know, Bush Gore and the response to 9/11 and some of that turn of the millennium, you know, Big Brothers type of stuff, that there would be kind of more vitriol, more unbridled anger. And we didn't really get that until Avocado a few years later. But there's contemplation on this record that I didn't know that I needed. You know, we so often knee-jerk react to things. We let the first response be the grandest. We don't stop to think and consider. That's been more directly conveyed on Dark Matter with React Respond, obviously. But Riot Act showed me it's okay to sit in those negative feelings, the despair, the unease, the disillusionment, you mentioned that word before, and really kind of let it wash all over you. You know, let the stages of grief kind of thing take its course, so that you don't make any dumb decisions, so that you don't just react, that you do respond. And I think this is a huge reason why I enjoyed this record more than I did then. So I'm grateful for that.
That's a good shout. I like that one. I'm going to get a little bit more granular and talk about the music itself.
Let's do it.
In terms of composition. I've always said I thought this was an art rock record on a lot of levels. It's not like radio friendly. You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
It really isn't. But at the same time, like when you think of this idea, this concept of an album, and I don't mean in the literal sense concept album, I mean the concept of an album. It should be something that's cohesive and textured and layered in a lot of ways. And I think that this record really is. Obviously, there was an intended, purposeful, like intentional desire to not be commercial. And that's okay. You know what I mean? I think that they had earned the right to move in that direction. And we had seen like sprinkles of that throughout the catalog leading up to this moment. And we saw it on Riot Act. We saw it on Vitology in some ways. We certainly saw it on Binaural. So this wasn't the first time that they had been willing to experiment that way. But I think this was the first time that as a record, they just went into it with that mentality. And when I get to my third reason why, I'll unpack a little bit more why I think that was actually essential to their survival. But you think about like an experimental vocal lament like Arc, or kind of that bluesy Zeppelin-esque Half Full, or You Are, which is my favorite song on the album, just Matt Cameron just getting funky with effects. And I mean, obviously, All or None can't keep with those acoustic stripped down qualities. I just think it's a record that showcased their versatility and their ability to experiment in ways that I hadn't really heard on the whole since No Code, as far as like a departure from what we were used to. So I think at the time I was kind of alienated, and the record left me feeling kind of like disillusioned, to use that word. And so I think it's great that the record that showcased the band at their highest pinnacle, that's an oxymoron, the pinnacle of their disillusionment, also happens to be the record that left many of their own fans disillusioned. And I just think that that's an important parallel there. And when you reconcile that gap, you begin to realize that it's that parallel that actually should make the record more relatable for Pearl Jam fans, and perhaps it would allow it to grow in popularity and for fans to appreciate it more. So I think just the music itself and the band's willingness to take these like rich and diverse detours from what they have been doing in the past. Grateful for that.
I feel like we are driving down parallel roads here, because my second thing here is very adjacent to that, and that is, and bear with me here when I give you my headline, but I'm grateful for the fact that this is sort of Matt Cameron's No Code ...
That's a good point.
And what I mean by that, Matt's first record was binaural, as we know, studio record. Riot Act was, to me, his first chance to really kind of spread his wings and contribute on a full scale. And for that, I believe we got Pearl Jam's most eclectic record. I think you kind of pointed to that a little bit.
Tried to.
I know people who look to Jack's World Beats for In My Tree or Who You Are, and they might even bring up, Ed as I'm Open, the spoken word. Mm-hmm. But across Riot Act's 15 songs, we have so many styles, so many tempos, so many instruments. The ... part of my headline is that, it's also the introduction of Boom Gaspar. So between, Matt's approach to songwriting, which is clearly very different than the rest of the guys, and Boom coming into the fold to offer different keyboard instrument ideas, the sonic palette couldn't have been wider or more diverse for this band. And I think at the time, a lot of us sort of questioned that. Crop Duster and Help sound very different than anything we were used to.
Matt Cameron running his guitar through a drum machine. I mean,
yeah. There you go. You are my next note. You are Bush Leaguer. Another spoken word marching groove thing. It kind of tells I'm open to hold my beer. Like it's way past what that was. You got Arc. The looped Eddie all by himself chanting thing. You could argue I Am Mine's sea shanty groove feels totally out of place to the usual rock grooves we'd heard for the previous 12 years. And I'm not saying I credit Matt for all of this, but I think his addition, and I don't know if it was the group or his own volition to take the creative governor off, these guys together felt more comfortable or maybe even compelled to push further out than ever before. The songwriting credits are all over the map on this song, and it's the album that Matt has the most songwriting credits, with 4, and he has 2 lyric credits. So I'm grateful that this album kind of pushed the boundaries of what this band's sound is, even if I didn't want it at the time when the record came out. As I said earlier, I appreciated how the band approached themes from a different, maybe more mature vantage point, but I also appreciate that they added some more musical arrows to the quiver.
Yeah, I like that metaphor.
We're at the final grateful tentpole. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, like a
bullet point.
Final bullet point of gratitude.
What do you got?
So we've reached our final destination, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Look, I think on a lot of levels, this is what survival sounds like in the Pearl Jam catalog. You've got just the supernova chaos that was the 1990s. And I think that this is the album that ultimately brings the band back together on a lot of levels after dealing with the tragedy of Roskilde and so much of what had been happening at that time that ultimately was on the verge of tearing the band apart. Like there were thoughts of like, should we keep doing this? And the refusal to implode or be beaten by that. And the solution to turn inward rather than outward, I think, was really, really important. And I think that allowed them to kind of rediscover purpose. And the band that we know today to be Pearl Jam, what that live experience is, was shaped, I think, on a lot of levels. It was born with this record. They're still a very, very vital, important, and impactful live band. And I can't help but think that inward turn, I don't know if Pearl Jam becomes that without this Riot Act experience, without this inward turn towards survival. And I would add, too, that while I don't think that this record is ever going to define the band, it isn't. I mean, there's too many unbelievable records in the catalog that this one, musically speaking, just doesn't necessarily hold the same weight. But I do think on a lot of levels, like I said, facing grief, challenging politics, getting older, the willingness to be emotionally vulnerable and honest, as opposed to hiding it or trying to veil it through too much metaphor and too much polish. I think that this is the record that ultimately it allowed them to stay alive as a group when just trying to survive itself at that point in time really felt like the bravest act versus a riot act. So for this record, and it's interesting that the other album in the catalog that feels, or it felt at the time to be more art rock-esque, was No Code. Also a record where the band was, seemingly on the verge of coming apart at the seams before Jack kind of brought them back together post Vitalogy and kind of helped move them forward in that direction. And so there's just something about these records that there's a calmness to it. I remember, I'm going to paraphrase what Jeff had said about how those sessions with Adam Kaspar, they really helped reestablish trust in one another, the ability and willingness to be open with each other. So that allowed for kind of a calmer sound on the subsequent record. 2006's self-titled, they just felt a lot more aligned in their playing and in their thinking. It's not as fractured in a lot of ways, despite, as I said before, Riot Act being cohesive. There is a fractured quality to it that obviously is not present on the self-titled record. And so I think this is the sound of survival in the Pearl Jam catalog. And without it, do they survive? I would venture to say no. So how can we not be grateful for a record that may have saved the band in the long run, whether any of us really realize it or not?
I do think that there was a roller coaster quality to the band's life through to this record, because you mentioned we all know the beginning in the Vitalogy, and they're kind of going down, and Neil and Jack essentially saved them in 95, 96, and we get the fruits of that with Yield, this beautiful collaborative effort, and then they try something with binaural. I love binaural, but a lot of people, including Stone, were like, well, I guess it wasn't received very well. Maybe all of a sudden they start questioning themselves again. Relationships are falling apart. People are going to rehab. Some bad shit's happening in the world politically. And you've got this record that's on the down again, but they use it to, like you said, find that community among them. And what we get is, going forward, I think since then they've felt more aligned and more together on a trajectory. I've not felt since 2003 that they've ever felt like splintered again. Mm-hmm. Every record, every tour feels as cohesive as the last, if not more so. And my third point, you kind of nicked on it, is the album's tour. So
some great boots, man.
This record, you're always going to tour a record, but this record offered them a tour that was wow. And while I may not have gotten at the time all the anger and vitriol I was expecting, considering the times and even my own personal political transformation, this record allowed the band to play a tour that found another level. This was the tour where Ed became more vocal. He really started to turn the volume up on his beliefs. In fact, I'd argue the Venom he performed with in the 10 era that maybe hibernated away in some ways, maybe had gone through some sort of like Franz Kafka style metamorphosis and then reemerged on this tour with maturity and snark and humor and edge. Like the bite of the old songs came through, the edges on the newer stuff were sharpened, which made the delicacy of some of the softer stuff seem that much softer. And there was this dynamism to a Pearl Jam show that I'm not sure existed before, at least not to this extent. And so for someone like me expecting and hoping for that, quote unquote return to form, even if that just meant like a bite in the live experience, this tour offered more shades of personality than I think we got before. And I think for many, we needed it. And this was the tour, on a personal note, that I got back after missing out on Binaural. I went to the show on the Yield tour. That was my first, but I was in college when Binaural happened, or I was home when Binaural happened. It didn't line up, so I couldn't go to a Binaural show. So I had to wait. What is that? 5 years? 4 years to go to shows. I went to 4 Riot Act shows, and I was like, whoa. And being in college, having my own political transformation, and finding out who I really was, it all happened at the same time. I go, this is it, man. And you were mentioning before, those boots, holy shit. I remember when they first were dropping those things, they'd give you like the rough mix, like the next day, and then the polished MP3s, the master ones would come out like a couple weeks later, along with the CDs. And I think I was a junior, or maybe I was I forget what I was, but they'd come out and I'd download them. And every day for that entire spring, I'm downloading the show from the night before. Australia, Japan, the first leg from North America. I got to go to West Palm Beach, keep listening, State College, Pittsburgh, and then the summer comes around and I got to go to both MSG and New Jersey. And
State College, I think, that was the longest show they'd ever played at the time.
There's New Jersey right there. That was the final show of the tour in the US right there. Yeah, it was. State College was the longest. So that was a very, very important tour. And both I think from the band's legacy and kind of cementing the next phase to build upon, because everything since then has just gotten better and better and better. And I feel like I said the band has been more aligned. But on a personal level too, like I got my ground footing again on the live Pearl Jam side of things, and I haven't really missed too many tours since then. So I think it was a very important
reason
tour
for gratitude. I like it.
Yeah. There we go. Ooh,
lots of reasons to be full of gratitude here. Lots
there
of
it is.
reasons.
Look at the gatefold. Oh shit!
I know.
I'm losing a record here. Hold on. Oh shit! Everything's falling out. That's all right. I think it's okay.
See, that's why I went with the CD.
Here's look at this guy. Oh my god. The boys in the studio. There it is. And then the actually I haven't opened this in a long time. This is the lyric book from inside. This is that could be a t-shirt.
It could be.
Look at that.
It won't be ours.
No, it won't be ours.
Proprietaries.
That's one Bradley Clausen and Jeff Ament. But so many cool, like, there's one young Matt Cameron there. And Michael McCready. I mean, what a cool record, and I'm grateful for it, and I hope everybody out there is also grateful for it. And as we kind of turn our attention to Thanksgiving, I want you to know that we are grateful for you. If you watch us, if you listen to us, if we met you at a show, if we met you at a live thing, whatever it is, this has been another big year, I think, for us. We've grown, we've gotten into more ear holes and eye holes, and we've made more friends, and that's what it's all about. And I gotta say, I'm super stoked on that. So thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. Could not be more grateful for the experience to continue to talk about this band and their music and all the adjacent music that comes with them and the artists that they've helped inspire. And ultimately, I think it presents an opportunity to think kind of outside the sphere a little bit of what Pearl Jam is and start thinking about what Pearl Jam means. And what we found through this, and I say this every year we do this, what we found is a sense of community. And I think when you listen to Pearl Jam, whether you're on boards or whether you go to shows or, meet people through concerts, you find community. And it says a lot about a band and their music that it can create community. Because ultimately, I think when we start thinking about what ails society and how to move forward in a way that can create more civility and just a general decorum of respect, it's going to come through a sense of belonging, and that comes in the context of a community. And so for a band's music to have that kind of power, I think is a special thing. So very grateful for community here.
Absolutely. We will be off next week, as it's only a couple days before Thanksgiving. So it'll be a week off before we finish off the year in December with a handful of very fun shows. They're already booked, rare and ready to go. So enjoy the week, and we'll see you in 2. And until then, you've been listening to or watching
The State of Love and Trust.